So if you see a puddle of water creeping out from under your air conditioner closet today, your very first instinct is probably going to be just sheer, unadulterated panic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But what if I told you that your air conditioner is actually designed to flood your house with water every single day?
I mean, when you phrase it like that, it sounds terrifying.
It really does. And there's basically just one tiny hidden piece of plastic stopping it from absolutely ruining your ceilings and floors.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a design flaw when you put it that way. Or just, so conditioned to believe that any water inside the house in places where there are no sinks or showers is a total disaster.
Exactly. You see a dark stain spreading across the drywall, and you immediately jump to the worst-case scenario.
Right. You assume something massive and catastrophic just broke inside the walls.
Yep. But the mission of our deep dive today is to completely remove that fear. We're going to unpack exactly why your air conditioner makes water, how the equipment actually manages all that moisture, and what you can safely check yourself before you hit that panic button.
Which is so important because understanding this stuff shouldn't require an engineering degree.
Totally. We're keeping it completely jargon-free. And to help us navigate all of this, joining us on this deep dive is our expert, Dave Hartzell of Hartzell's Heat and Air in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. He's a NATE certified master HVAC technician who has been working in the trade for 47 years.
It's great to be here.
So we are in very, very good hands. Let's just dive right into the deep end here and address the elephant in the room. When we see a puddle forming under the indoor unit, our brain just screams, the machine is leaking.
Yeah, it does. But that requires a total perspective shift because the fundamental assumption most people make there is entirely backward.
Okay, backward how?
Well, your air conditioner is supposed to make water. In fact, it makes water every single time it runs all summer long.
Wait, really? Every time?
Every single time. The presence of water isn't a flaw in the system, it's a critical feature. The machine is literally designed to pull humidity out of the air you breathe.
Yeah.
So the only real question you should be asking when you see a puddle isn't, why is it leaking?
Right.
It's more like, why is the water it naturally produces not going where it belongs?
Okay, wait. An electrical appliance is actively generating water on purpose. Because that sounds completely counterintuitive. How does it actually do that without, short-circuiting everything?
It helps to use a really vivid, relatable image to picture the physics of it. So imagine a tall, freezing, cold glass of iced tea sitting out on a porch in Oklahoma in the absolute middle of July.
Oh, yeah. Within minutes, it's drenched.
Exactly. You're going to see water beating up all over the outside of that glass.
Sure, it sweats.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know that water didn't somehow leak from inside the cup through solid glass, right?
Right.
It condensed out of the muggy air the very second that warm air came into contact with the freezing cold surface of the glass.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that exact same physical process is happening hidden away inside your air conditioner. Inside your indoor unit, there's a component called the evaporator coil.
Okay.
Picture something that looks a bit like a car radiator. When your system turns on, the refrigerant inside that coil gets incredibly cold.
Got it.
Then, the system's fan takes the warm, sticky air from inside your house and blows it right across those freezing metal fins. Just like the glass of iced tea on the porch, the moisture suspended in your indoor air condenses into physical water droplets right there on the coil.
Oh, wow. So it's not actually generating water from nothing. It's literally harvesting the humidity straight out of my living room.
Exactly. It wrings it out like a sponge.
That is a huge aha moment for me. An air conditioner doesn't just lower the temperature of the air, it actively dries it. But why is that so important? I mean, is this dehumidifying effect the real secret to why a house feels comfortable in the summer?
Oh, it's a massive part of the equation. Yeah. Think about how your body naturally cools itself.
You sweat.
Right, you sweat. But when it's over 100 degrees outside and highly humid, your sweat can't evaporate into air that's already completely saturated with moisture.
You just feel sticky and miserable.
Exactly. By stripping that moisture out of the indoor air, the air conditioner lowers the humidity, which allows your body's natural cooling process to actually work.
So it's basically the difference between standing in the dry heat of a desert versus the sweltering heat of a swamp.
That is a perfect way to describe it. That drying effect is at least half of your comfort. Without it, your AC would just leave you sitting in a cold, clammy, damp room.
Okay, I love the physics of that, but it instantly brings up a massive logistical problem.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Well, if the air conditioner is pulling buckets of water out of the air and just dripping wet all summer long, why isn't my hallway constantly flooded? Like, where does this river of harvested water actually go once it drips off that freezing coil?
Ah, well, that leads us right into the hidden infrastructure of your home. Beneath that freezing, dripping evaporator coil sits a shallow tray.
Okay.
In the trade, we call it the drain pan. Every single drop of water that forms on the coil is designed to fall safely into this pan.
Oh, so it just catches it all.
Exactly. And connected to the bottom or the side of that pan is a pipe known as the condensate drain line. It's usually made of PVC pipe, and it relies purely on gravity to carry the water away.
Just flows right out.
Right. It routes the water down and away from the unit, usually passing right through your exterior walls or down through your attic floor to terminate somewhere outside near the foundation of your house.
That is fascinating because it totally reminds me of the gutters on a roof.
Oh, yeah, that's a good comparison.
Right. As long as the gutters are clean and the downspouts are clear, you never really notice the rain pouring off the roof during a storm. It just quietly gets routed away. But the absolute second a single clump of wet leaves blocks the flow at the top of the downspout, the water backs up, fills the gutter, and abruptly spills over the edges in a massive waterfall right onto your porch.
The mechanics are identical. The water is still arriving, but the exit is blocked. Now, there is one variation to this setup that we should probably mention.
Oh, what's that?
Well, sometimes gravity isn't an option. If your indoor unit is located in a basement, or just any space where the water cannot simply flow downhill to get outside, the system will include a small mechanical device called a condensate pump.
A pump, so it actively forces the water up and out.
Right, but think of it like a miniature sump pump specifically for your air conditioner. The water drips into a small reservoir inside this pump.
Okay.
And when that little reservoir fills up, a float inside rises, which triggers the pump to turn on and push the water vertically up and out of the house through a flexible plastic tube.
Oh, nice.
But if that pump fails or loses power, the reservoir overflows, and again, you have a puddle.
Okay, so we have this entire hidden plumbing system dedicated just to this one appliance. The tray catches it, the pipe drains it, or the pump lifts it.
Right.
So, knowing this, let's play HVAC detective. When you find a puddle spreading across the floor, where exactly does this path usually get interrupted? Like, what actually breaks?
Well, the number one culprit, by a massive margin, is just a clogged drain line.
Really? Just a clog?
Yeah, simple as that. Let's think about the environment inside that pipe. The water draining off the coil is relatively warm,
Okay.
and the pipe itself is dark, damp, and sitting in the ambient heat of your attic or closet. What that creates is the perfect hidden greenhouse for algae, mold, and slime to thrive.
A hidden greenhouse inside the walls. That is equal parts fascinating and totally gross.
It's entirely biological. Over the course of a cooling season, this algae grows and clings to the walls of the PVC pipe.
Oh.
It slowly builds up into a thick, slimy plug. It behaves exactly like a slow drain in your bathroom sink when it's full of hair and soap. The flow gets slower and slower until eventually it completely stops.
And the machine has no idea the pipe is blocked, so it just keeps pulling humidity out of the air.
Exactly. Once that line is blocked solid, the coil above is still doing its job, still dripping condensation into the pan.
Oh, no.
But now, with the exit blocked, the pan just fills to the brim and spills over the edge. The machine didn't mechanically break, the drain just got stopped up.
So the most common homeowner nightmare is really just a plumbing clog. Pure and simple. But what about the other scenarios? I know there was something mentioned about the metal itself failing.
Yeah, the drain pan itself can be the issue sometimes. On much older systems, the drain pan is often made of stamped metal rather than modern plastic.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. Over years and years of holding water, that metal can rust through, developing these tiny pinhole leaks.
So even if your drain line is perfectly clear and ready to carry water away,
the water simply leaks straight through the rusted bottom of the pan before it ever reaches the exit pipe.
that makes perfect sense. Gravity finds the lowest hole. But I know there's one more scenario that sounds a bit more dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what happens when the actual coil freezes? I've heard stories of people opening their AC closet and finding a literal block of ice inside. How does a machine designed to move air turn into a glacier?
This is a significant one, and it comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of how the system breathes. If the system ices up, it changes everything.
Okay, why does it happen?
This usually happens for one of two reasons. Either there is an issue with the system's refrigerant, or, much more commonly, a profoundly dirty air filter is choking off the airflow.
Okay, I need to stop you there because we need to explain the mechanism. Why does a lack of air equal ice? Shouldn't less air just mean less cooling?
You'd think so, right? But remember how cold that evaporator coil gets? The coil relies on the constant flow of warm air from your house to keep its physical temperature from dropping below freezing.
Oh, so that warm air is its heat source.
Exactly. If you put up a brick wall, which is essentially what a totally clogged, filthy air filter is, that warm air can't reach the coil.
Ah, so without the warm air buffering it, the coil's temperature just plummets.
It plummets way below 32 degrees. So as the remaining moisture in the air hits that coil, it doesn't condense into water droplets anymore.
It freezes.
It freezes instantly into frost. And then that frost acts as an insulator, making the coil even colder, which creates more frost. It's a runaway feedback loop.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually, you end up with a giant solid block of ice encasing the entire inner workings of your unit.
And when that ice eventually melts,
It's a disaster. When the system shuts off, or you turn it off because the house isn't cooling, that massive block of ice melts all at once.
that's a lot of water.
Way too much. The resulting flood of water is vastly more volume than that shallow little drain pan was ever designed to hold at one time.
It's instantly overwhelmed.
Yeah, the pan is instantly overwhelmed, and the water just pours over the sides like a tidal wave.
That paints a terrifying picture.
Yeah.
But this brings up a really common scenario that I actually want to push back on.
Sure, go ahead.
So sometimes, on the absolute hottest day of the year, say it's 105 degrees outside the air conditioner, just completely shuts itself off. No warning, just silence.
Oh, yeah, the worst timing possible.
Right. The air stops blowing, the house starts heating up, and you naturally assume the compressor blew up or the motor died.
Yeah.
It feels like a total mechanical failure.
Is it possible that this sudden, infuriating shutdown is actually related to the water?
It is highly likely, and this is where we have to fundamentally reframe how we look at the system. When that happens, the system didn't break.
It didn't.
No, it actually protected itself. Many modern systems are equipped with a brilliant little component called a float switch, sometimes known as a safety switch.
Okay, so how does that play into a sudden shutdown?
Well, the float switch sits right there in the drain pan, or sometimes it's clipped onto the edge of the primary drain line. Its entire job is to monitor the water level.
Okay.
If that biological algae clog forms in the line and the water in the pan starts to back up and rise higher than it should, it lifts a small plastic float on the switch.
Ah, I see. Yeah, and when that float rises, it physically breaks the low-voltage electrical circuit and instantly kills the power to the air conditioner.
Wait, you're telling me my AC shutting off on a scorching hot day is a good thing? Because my immediate instinct is to throw my hands in the air and curse the thermostat.
I know. The immediate reaction is profound frustration. You're sitting in a sweltering house. But if you investigate, find a little water in the pan, and realize your system has intentionally shut down, you shouldn't curse that switch.
You shouldn't.
You should celebrate it. It is doing exactly its job. It caught a clogged drain and stopped the production of water before that water had the chance to overflow the pan, pour through your ceiling, and severely damage the structural integrity of your home.
Wow, so it's not a breakdown at all. It's basically an intentional circuit breaker staging a heroic intervention.
Pretty much.
That completely flips the script.
Mm.
So, armed with this mechanical understanding of how the water moves, what stops it, and why the system protects itself, let's talk about action.
Okay, let's do it.
If a listener is currently standing in front of a puddle or sitting in a hot house because that hero float switch tripped, I don't just want to give them a checklist. How do they actually troubleshoot this without tearing their drywall apart?
Well, this is where we can really empower you, because you can become an HVAC detective using deductive reasoning and a few completely safe checks.
I love that. Where do we start?
Number one, and this is crucial, go check your air filter. As we just discussed, a dirty filter chokes the airflow and is a primary cause of the coil freezing into a block of ice.
Right.
Pull the filter out. If it looks like a thick gray blanket, you found your primary suspect. Swapping out a filthy filter for a clean one is a 5-minute fix that anyone can do.
Okay, so we rule out the glacier scenario first. But what if the filter is pristine and the pan is still overflowing with water?
Then your mind should immediately go to a clog, and you can prove this without touching the indoor plumbing.
How?
Step outside and locate the end of the drain line. Walk around the foundation of your house and find where that small PVC pipe comes out of the wall.
And what am I looking for?
You're looking for evidence of flow. If your air conditioner is actively running inside, but that outside pipe is completely bone dry, and yet you have water leaking around the indoor unit.
Then the water isn't making it outside.
Exactly. You have just definitively confirmed a clog.
So by checking the outside pipe while the inside is leaking, I'm not just looking at water. I'm definitively proving a blockage in the middle through deductive reasoning.
Yep.
I didn't even have to touch a wrench. And if it is clogged, how do I actually fix it?
If you own a wet-dry shop vacuum, you can safely use a trick to clear the line from the outside.
Okay, how'd that work?
You take the hose of the shop vacuum and place it over the outside end of the drain line by the foundation.
Just right over the pipe.
Yeah. You might need to wrap your hand or a damp rag around it to create a tight seal, then turn it on. The vacuum pressure will often gently suck that plug of algae and slime right out of the pipe and into the vacuum.
I love that. It's completely non-invasive. You aren't forcing anything down into the delicate machinery. You're just pulling the clog out from the exit.
Exactly. And the best part is understanding how this resets the system.
Oh, right. What happens to the float switch?
Well, if your air conditioner shut off because the float switch did its job, you don't have to call someone just to flip a reset button. Once you successfully clear the drain line with the shop vacuum trick, the trapped water in the indoor pan will finally drain away.
And let me guess, when the water level drops, the little plastic float drops back down with it, the electrical circuit reconnects, and the air conditioner magically turns back on.
You've got it. The system resets itself automatically.
That is incredibly empowering. You diagnose the clog outside, vacuum it out, the water drains, the switch drops, and the cold air starts blowing again.
It's a great feeling.
It really is. But as much as we love empowering the listener to be a detective, I do need to strictly enforce the boundaries laid out in the source material. We need a very clear, non-negotiable do not do list.
Oh, absolutely. This is critical.
Listeners, under no circumstances should you ever take a metal tool, a wire brush, or a knife and start poking around inside the coil to try and clean it or chip away ice. The metal in that coil is delicate. It's under pressure, and one wrong poke can cause severe damage to the entire system.
100%.
And secondly, absolutely no opening up any electrical compartments. We are only checking the filter and the exterior drainage path, period.
Those boundaries are vital. The goal here is understanding the mechanics and performing safe exterior maintenance, not disassembling complex, pressurized machinery.
Knowing your limits is just as important as knowing how to troubleshoot. So when does a puddle transition from a simple DIY investigation into a job where you absolutely must call a professional?
The boundaries for calling a professional are very clear. First, if you have changed the filter and you have attempted to clear the drain line from the outside, but the water just keeps returning and spilling over, it's time to call a pro.
Because it might be a deeper issue.
Right. There might be a deeper blockage or an issue with the pitch of the pipe. Second, if you inspect the drain pan and it is visibly rusted through with holes, that requires professional replacement.
Because no amount of vacuuming is going to fix a hole in the metal.
Precisely. Third, if you notice that the coil keeps freezing over with solid ice, even with a brand new, clean filter installed, you must make the call.
Okay, why is that?
Continuous freezing points to a complex airflow issue within the ductwork or a problem with the system's refrigerant levels. Handling refrigerant is strictly regulated by law and is never, ever a job for a homeowner.
Good to know. And what about the actual water damage to the house? At what point is it no longer just an HVAC problem?
That is the most critical boundary of all. If the water has been sitting long enough to start soaking into your ceilings, bubbling your paint, or warping your hardwood floors, you need to get somebody out immediately.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At that point, you're no longer just trying to get the air conditioner running. You are actively protecting the structural integrity of your house. But when you do make that call, you can feel confident because you've already ruled out the simple stuff.
Right, you can tell the technician exactly what you checked, what you saw, and what the symptoms are.
You're speaking their language.
You really are. In fact, looking at the source material, there's a very clear directive for anyone hitting this exact wall. Here is the direct call to action, exactly as our expert delivered it. I am Dave Hartzell, Hartzell's Heat and Air, 602 South Main in Kingfisher. Family run, NATE certified, and I have been doing this 47 years. Call 405-375-4822 or book online at hartzellsheetair.com. We are at 4.8 stars with 300 plus Google reviews.
It's always reassuring to have clear direction from someone with that level of deep, hands-on experience in the field. When they tell you how the machinery breathes and drains, you listen.
You really do.
Yep,
So let's
yep.
pull all of this together and summarize the key takeaways for you, the listener. The most important thing to remember is that water coming from your air conditioner is perfectly normal.
Totally normal.
It means the system is doing its job, acting as a giant dehumidifier and pulling the sticky humidity out of your home. Water on your floor, however, is just a plumbing issue. It's a river that jumped its banks.
Exactly.
Almost every time, it comes down to a simple clogged drain line or a frozen coil caused by a suffocated air filter. By simply keeping a clean air filter installed and ensuring that your outside drain line is clear of obstructions, you can actually get completely ahead of this problem before it ever starts.
And you completely change your relationship with the equipment. You realize the safety switches are there to protect your home, not to annoy you.
Exactly. The next time you see a drip or your system mysteriously shuts off in the middle of a scorching hot afternoon, you aren't going to panic. You're going to know exactly what your equipment is trying to tell you. You'll know that the float switch is actually your best friend, standing guard to protect your home from a flood.
It transforms a moment of fear into a moment of informed action. You go from being a helpless homeowner to an active troubleshooter.
It really does. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We talked about that dark, damp little drain pipe acting as a hidden greenhouse, a perfect environment for algae and slime to quietly grow until it causes a massive backup.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, what other invisible micro-ecosystems are quietly thriving inside the dark spaces, the walls, and the pipes of our homes?
Oh, that's a wild thought.
Right. Entire little biological world, completely out of sight, just waiting to slowly impact the structures we live in every single day. So the next time you walk past that AC closet and see a puddle on the floor or look up at a dark stain on the ceiling, take a breath. You don't need to fear the water anymore.
Yeah.
You just need to guide it back to where it belongs.